If I were to meet actors and actresses of the period of Hollywood film when I was growing up, I think I would have trouble communicating with them.
Calm down, take your time.
You really get to love them, but they don't know you. But you love them. But you love, I think, what you imagine they are.
Oh, Jerry, I love this guy. Always coming up with these great lines. I love him.
You put more into the person than, to a certain extent, than they may be even giving out on the screen, because they represent a dream. You lose yourself in those people.
I'll be taking a bath and I say to myself, I wonder if Jerry's taking a bath right now.
Celebrity can be dangerous, something that's extremely volatile and uncomfortable to be constantly involved with.
Jerry, I'm a little short on cash, but if you don't mind just appetizers, I'd love to take you to dinner sometime.
Finally, when you do satisfy the request of a fan, quote unquote, after saying a few things, after saying, I really loved you in that film, I thought you were great, you really meant a lot to me, and like, well, what next?
Seriously, you ever want lunch? My treat.
Ultimately, what do they want? What do they want from you? I was given the script by Robert De Niro, I think around 1974. And I knew Paul Zimmerman through having been interviewed by Paul. I read it, I liked it, but I couldn't be excited about the material because in a way, I'm not an actor. I was not in the public eye. I wasn't living with the same scrutiny.
Hi, Gary. Hi there.
After Raging Bull, Bob asked me to take a look at the script again, or during the editing of Raging Bull. And that's when I think a number of years had gone by. Then I began to understand certain things. And I said, yeah, okay, well, I'll do it with you. A lot of people expected from the combination of De Niro and Scorsese something in a different way, obviously, like a Raging Bull or a Taxi Driver.
My name is Rupert Pupkin, and I know the name doesn't mean very much to you, but it means an awful lot to me.
Bobby's performance as Rupert Pupkin allowed him to drop a lot of the macho, tough guy posing that he had to do to, you know, to elevate those other characters. I think he allowed himself to be a geek, and that's not easy for a guy like De Niro.
Well, God forbid he should see me with you, because Jerry and I have a real relationship going, you know what I mean? No fantasy world, you know what I'm talking about?
Nothing has been as needy or desperate as the Rupert Pupkin character.
Jerry, nobody's gonna help you.
And I think that was kind of a defining moment for Bobby's, you know, career.
Right? Yeah.
I think Rupert's a passionate character, but his passion only runs for completely selfish reasons.
Why didn't you just listen to the tape when I asked you to? A few minutes of your time to listen to something that I worked on my whole life?
I think Rupert just simply wanted to be out there, you know, for any reason he could possibly be out there.
Because you want to let all those kids in high school who didn't like you and those teachers who didn't like you know that you are really a great person, and they were wrong.
None of us dreamt that he would amount to a hill of beans, but we were wrong. And you, Rupert, you were right.
You have a value that they didn't see, that you know you had. It's like some childish fantasy.
We'd like to apologize to you personally.
But I think that's the poignancy, the living out of the fantasies and Rupert wanting to be justified in the face of his high school principal.
And to beg your forgiveness for all the things we did to you.
Because it's about your self-esteem. And I think a lot of it had to do also with what is the nature of celebrity, what is the hunger. This hunger where people would know who you are.
What's your name, dear?
Dolores.
Dolores. That was my father's name.
Even if Jerry gives him his validation as a creative artist.
You've got it, and you're stuck with it. And I don't care if you wanted to get rid of it. You couldn't.
It's still not going to be enough. He wants a successor Jerry. He wants to bury Jerry.
His so-called admiration and love for Jerry Langford was misguided because he wanted to be Jerry. He didn't admire Jerry. And he wanted to be Jerry without the work.
I mean, he wants to be better than Jerry. He wants to hurt Jerry.
Listen, I really wish you would think about it again, okay?
I think it's starting again.
I think both my character and Rupert had this huge, quote-unquote, love for Jerry, but underneath it, it's a very fine line between love and hate.
Between the love and the violence.
Sit down. I said sit down.
Taxi Driver, Travis, Rupert, the isolated person. Is Rupert more violent than Travis? Maybe.
Okay, Jerry.
Therefore, for me, the whole movie, every scene, had levels of hostility as to how he was expressing this hostility.
Thank you very much. When Jerry finds a moment, good. Thank you. When will that be?
Particularly, the key scene for me is Shelley Hack and De Niro, where she comes out and tells him about his tape. And he has one line, which I thought was always very important. Excuse me, but are you speaking for Jerry?
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are you speaking for Jerry?
Because that's a pretty hostile line. That means, like, who the hell are you? You don't know what goes on between Jerry and me. You're just a lackey.
I don't have faith in your judgment.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way.
And Shelley's great. She's doing her job. And she's also doing something very good for him. Who is he? He just came in the guy's car one night. He just jumped in the car. Why should she even have to look at a tape?
And we mean it when we tell you that you can call us when you start working, all right? Goodbye.
Goodbye.
But it's a very moving thing, particularly when the security guard comes to take him out.
I'm waiting for Jerry. It's personal.
We'll talk about that outside. Please, sir, take it.
I know he's expecting me.
Is very moving because he tries to be nice, but he's really hostile. He's really got bad intentions.
You went up there just now?
Of course. Go back up. Search yourself a little bit. He's up there right now.
We did a long search for the Masha character that Sandra Bernhard played. We were told that she was pretty interesting, and so she came in.
Where I was in my life was very similar to where Masha was. And I think we had parallel lives, and it just made sense for me.
You're driving me nuts.
Just a
Can you
minute.
be quiet for one goddamn minute and
Just
let me rest
a
with this
minute.
gun?
She had a kind of sexual predator in a way. Like I would say, Sandra Bernhard's sort of like a sexual terrorist. You know, you never know what's going to come out and what she's going to say, what she's going to do.
I felt completely impulsive tonight. Anything could happen.
I was young then. I was just running on adrenaline. I mean, I didn't have any formal training or anything, so it wasn't like I thought it out in some sort of like, Strindberg, method acting. It was just what I connected to and what I knew I could do with a role that nobody else could ever possibly bring to that role.
I just want to dance. I just want to put on some Shirelles. I want to be black.
I wanted her to take the Masha character and just go with it.
I had quite a unique relationship with Marty that was wonderfully nurturing for me.
She's a very dangerous character.
Well, I think Masha was somebody who was, extremely impetuous, not really interested in relationships of any cliche manner. She was looking for something in life that was going to pull her out of her own insecurity and inadequacy.
I said, how did you get this number?
I don't know what else to do. I've been trying to call you. It's highly unlikely that a young girl would find Jerry Langford appealing sexually. But there was something about the kind of attention, once again, that it was going to garner her. She felt like she was somebody who was not attractive enough and overcompensated by, verboseness and over-the-topness, that she needed to get herself noticed.
She's unbalanced. And Jerry has nothing to do with it. It's just who she thinks Jerry is.
I don't know where to start. I'm going to tell you everything. I just want to tell you everything about myself, everything you don't know.
And that kind of thing could explode in violence. It was a deranged kidnapper, basically.
And then she had her, partner in crime in tow. So they were a team. That was like her brother that, she was torturing, and he was torturing her. It was like this whole weird kind of familial, psychotic, dysfunctional experience.
Excuse me. I wasn't getting thrown out of the building then.
You're a constant embarrassment.
They walked me outside.
I think he was very attracted to my character. I think it was probably a turn-on for him to have a woman be as audacious as his male characters have been in the past. Because I think Marty's one of the few guys who can handle it. I think it scared the shit out of every other director I could have ever worked with again, but which is why I never really got another fabulous role except the roles I've created for myself. Now, Jerry, I just think this is the way he is. He's from another generation, a whole other school of acting, directing, auteur, French award-winning sensibility.
Is there anyone here from Jersey? Big deal.
He understood it without even reading it. He knew it all inside out.
Jerry Langford, right?
Right.
Oh, Morris, please hold on.
This has actually happened to Jerry. It wasn't in the script.
Would you just please say something to my nephew Morris on the phone?
And I had him direct that. Jerry worked it out in terms of the timing, how she stopped him. He would tell her, no, 1, 2.
You should only get cancer. I hope you get cancer.
I think out of the two people, Jerry was definitely the more intimidating character for me to work with. I was still fascinated by him, and when he did his shtick, you laugh.
I wouldn't lie. I wouldn't lie to you, Roop. Now, look.
He's like my father times 1,000. My dad's from that same generation of Jewish men who they like women, but women have their place. He's going to come across a person like me, specifically a woman like me, and it's going to freak him out.
And you couldn't have cared less about me.
Am I going to stand here holding this thing till next Shavuos? You going to make some decisions here? You going to make some moves? You going to knock off the talking for 2 minutes?
Marty wanted improvisation in the film. He wanted it to have the feeling of urgency and immediacy that you don't get from the word on the page. I think it was 90% of the reason I was hired for the role. I can just walk in do it, you know, and make it seem like it's real.
Masher, do you want one?
Yeah, I'd love one, but please save it. It's a little bit inconvenient at the moment. Thank you.
For me, it was interesting. It was a comedy of manners, excruciatingly embarrassing situations, particularly when he shows up at Jerry's house.
How are you? We were just pressing up upstairs.
Some of that was improvised. And what's interesting there is again, what does he want from Jerry?
Anyway, I brought the work. It's right here, all ready and set to go. So, where is everybody?
What, everybody?
Because there were so many aspects of it. And a gesture would say, oh, that's very interesting. That means that, look at that language, that body language. I have my arms like this. That means, you know, I'm in a defensive position. That's interesting. What if we do it that way?
Let's get to work on that after we work on this, of course.
How did you get here?
If it's so tightly woven that there's no room to, like, explode, which is what happens in those situations naturally, you have to be able to improvise to make that happen.
If I didn't tell you that, we'd still be standing on the steps at my apartment.
Yeah, all right, so I made a mistake.
So did Hitler.
And it just worked. I mean, because, you know, these guys were open to it.
Especially with the wonderful actor, Kim.
And you better come back. He's touching everything, you know. He's ruining the house.
They're touching, they're like violation. Yeah, I'm going to get a heart attack.
And hey, I'm getting a heart attack already.
He really felt it, Kim. Kim was great.
What's wrong? Everything's wrong.
Jerry and he had a good time working together. We even left in the scene where he couldn't open the door. And Jerry started yelling at him, so door got stuck.
You open the goddamn door.
It's Stanford.
Standing up there 8 minutes. What was with the door?
It took 5 days to shoot that sequence alone.
John, lock that door.
You did good, Mr. Stanford. Thank you.
Even to the extent of working with non-actors.
Rupert, who are you talking to?
Mom!
What is it?
Who's played by my mother, by the way, off camera. It's the only time I ever saw De Niro crack up in a scene. He couldn't continue. He started laughing, and I thought something was wrong. He had turned around, and his shoulders were moving like this. I said, what's he doing? This was interesting. When he turned back, I could see he was trying to... he couldn't keep it straight.
Rupert Pupkin, the new king of comedy.
Rupert! Are you crazy? What's the matter with you?
Ah,
Mom! People are sleeping.
She was to have no idea, my mother had no idea anyway, of him rehearsing with Jerry down there, and she's wondering who he's talking to, what's he doing, come up and eat.
Rupert! The bus is here, it's early. Try to be on time for once.
And she was treating him just like one of Marty's friends. No, this is, this is one of the greatest actors in the world, you know. We're doing something, okay? But that's exactly what the scene needed, we didn't realize.
I don't mind you playing it, but lower it.
Each scene had to have a humor to it, even though I was dealing with these realistic overtones. I mean, I should say unpleasant, ugly overtones. And I think you could see that really in the scene with Jerry, where Jerry's tied up.
Let's just take everything off the table and do it right here. I wish that would blow your mind, wouldn't it? It would blow my mind. I've never done anything like that before. I never had anybody over for dinner, let alone made love on the table.
I think that the improv did bring a certain amount of uncomfortability for everybody. They kept it definitely interesting.
You know, I want to be crazy. I want to be nuts. I want some fun.
Jerry didn't know where she was going to go with certain things.
That's right. Having some fun. Never had this much fun before.
What could he do? He's stuck there. She would do, you know, what? He didn't know what she was going to do.
I can't believe I'm going to kiss you.
Marcia, take the tape off.
When Jerry knocks me out, originally he wanted to knock me out and expect me to do a pratfall into a glass table that was lit with like 100 candles.
He's a genius at physical movement and timing, comic timing. He'd say 1, 2, 3, hit.
And I was like, no thanks, I'm not interested in, like, you know, breaking my coccyx in the scene. And, you know, Marty kind of sat back bemused, and I think just let him, you know, kind of go through the motions, and then he stepped in and said, yeah, Jerry, I think we better just put her against the wall and put a pad down, and you can kind of pretend you're going to knock her out and she'll slide down. I would have loved to have been able to do that. I mean, how fabulous and fun and you know, kind of liberating to be able to fall like that, but I couldn't.
Another character in the film was the city. The city is so alive, and particularly the scene with Sandra Bernhard and Robert De Niro in the street.
What have you done for me? You haven't done anything for me. What are you talking about?
Marty is, you know, one of the masters of being able to manipulate the city around a scene and make it fun, and he doesn't try to stop things from happening around.
Because the people around, you see people walking in the street, you know. We even had a couple of kids from The Clash at the time in the shot, I think, in the background.
There were moments that just felt just genuine. You know, he embraces that. He looks around and he laughs, and he just gets a big charge out of the craziness of the city.
You know something, Jerry? I undress in front of you every night. Sam here doesn't mind at all.
I can't get anything going with her until you're off the air.
New York has become so gentrified. I think that you don't see as many marginal characters that you would have 10, 15, 20 years ago. But I think certainly at the time, I would have believed those characters existed around the city, for sure. But, you know, they're real New York characters that couldn't exist anywhere else.
How about put me on your show?
Yeah, I could have used you last night.
Nobody expected those kind of characters to disappear from the landscape of New York City. I mean, nobody expected Times Square to become Disneyland.
Will you please give your warmest welcome to the newest king of comedy, Rupert Pupkin.
It was New Year's Eve, 1983 to 1984, and I was dressing up to my friend Jay Cox's house, and I'm watching Entertainment Tonight, and they were summing up the year, and I was putting on my shirt, and I'm tying, and they said, now for the flop of the year, the king of comedy. And I said, oh, okay. So
The King of Comedy ended a certain era of filmmaking. I think it was the last really great film about culture.
The industry had changed, and the day of the personal film was gone, and so it was sort of the end, in a way.
And I don't think a film like King of Comedy could ever be made today.
But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.
I would never refer back to Andy Warhol's cliche, but a combination of that and King of Comedy, I think, were the two most cutting-edge views into the future about the media and about television and celebrity. It had a foresight and an insight to culture, into television, into the media, that it would become a monster, a self-serving entity.
Rupert Pupkin, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Rupert Pupkin.
But I think what we have now in our culture is something much sleazier and less passion-driven. It's just like, I'm gonna rip my blouse off and show you my tits. You know, it's more of that kind of thing. And you're gonna love me, I'm gonna make $1 million, and then I'll just go in some corner and cry because I'm gonna be all lonely. I mean, it's just like, it's, you know, I wish it was that interesting.
Y tus trailers, visita mi canal.